Your home is basically a machine for managing energy. In fact, the entire history of our homes, from the very first shelters right up to the smart houses of tomorrow, it's really a story about a constant negotiation with the laws of physics. So let's peel back the layers and see how this incredible story actually unfolds.
This one slide beautifully illustrates our entire story. I mean, look at it. On the left, you've got this ancient architecture built on the timeless principles of wind, sun, and earth. And on the right, it's digital twin, governed by algorithms and data. It's the exact same goal, harmony with the environment, just achieved thousands of years apart.
All right, so our story begins way back, a time before fossil fuels, before air conditioning, a time when efficiency wasn't some luxury, it was a non-negotiable requirement for survival. Ancient builders didn't have external energy to just brute force comfort, so they had to be clever. They ingeniously wove these passive solutions into the very fabric of their architecture.
And this slide right here is a perfect illustration of that idea. This is the Persian Bodgir, or wind tower. It's an absolute masterpiece of natural engineering. With its towering height and these intricate internal channels, it was all designed to capture and manipulate the wind. It's basically an ancient air conditioner that runs without a single watt of electricity, using pure physics to cool a building in the middle of the desert.
So how in the world does it work? Well, it's all about pressure. On the side that's facing the wind, a positive pressure gradient forces fresh air down into the house. Then, on the opposite side, the leeward side, the Venturi effect kicks in. It's like when you put your thumb over the end of a garden hose and the water speeds up. That creates suction, which pulls stale, hot air out. And for the final touch, if you integrate it with a water source below, you get evaporative cooling, which actively chills the incoming air. It's a perfect self-powering system. And the results? They were nothing short of staggering. This ancient tech could cool scorching desert air by up to 22 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 12 degrees Celsius, using nothing more than the physics of wind and water. To put that in perspective, that's the difference between a sweltering, unbearable summer day and a perfectly comfortable indoor temperature, all without a single drop of fossil fuel. An absolutely incredible feat of design.
But this ancient wisdom wasn't just limited to the desert. Over in India, the Haveli mansion mastered a completely different kind of passive control. Just imagine a grand mansion with this big, central courtyard like a cool oasis in the heart of the home. During the day, that courtyard acted as a shaded heat sink, trapping a pool of cool air. Then at night, it became a radiant cooler, venting all that accumulated heat out into space. Add in thick walls for thermal lag and those beautiful jolly screens using that same Venturi effect, and you have a brilliantly designed microclimate.
Even the Romans were masters of thermal engineering. They developed the hypocaust, which was the world's first radiant underfloor heating system. It warmed the floors of their villas from below. But even more importantly, when they started facing a timber shortage, they were forced to innovate. They began orienting buildings to maximize winter sun, essentially turning their buildings into giant solar collectors, and engineering the first greenhouses out of sheer necessity. But all of this ancient wisdom was about to be forgotten. The Industrial Revolution brought an absolute abundance of high-density energy, mostly in the form of coal. And with that, we entered an era of brute force. We could just overpower the climate with a flood of cheap energy instead of working in harmony with it. We basically forgot millennia of accumulated wisdom.
This whole pivot really unfolded in 3 acts. First, the discovery of cheap, dense energy like coal fueled this massive migration to cities. That led to extreme urban density and, of course, the choking pollution that came with it. And to keep all that toxic air out, what did we do? We had to seal our homes, cutting them off from the natural world and abandoning that ancient art of natural ventilation. The building didn't breathe anymore. It just consumed.
This whole philosophy really reached its destructive peak with the 20th century glassbox skyscraper. Aesthetically, sure, it was hailed as a symbol of modernity and progress, but thermodynamically, it was a complete and utter disaster. A building that was constantly bleeding energy, a thermal hemorrhage that was just totally at war with its own environment.
So what exactly went wrong? Let's take a look at the diagnostic panel. The fundamental flaw is the glass itself. It's a terrible insulator. This creates this cruel paradox. In the summer, it invites a flood of solar heat, turning the building into a scorching oven. And then in the winter, it bleeds all that same heat out into the cold air, turning it into an icy freezer. The only fix was 100% reliance on air conditioning at a massive environmental cost.
But that age of energy gluttony was about to come to a screeching halt. The 1973 oil crisis was the thermal shock the world desperately needed.
Suddenly, energy wasn't infinite anymore, and efficiency became paramount once again. It forced a return to the fundamentals, to the very skin of the building, its envelope, that crucial barrier between the conditioned inside and the wild, unpredictable outside. This timeline really traces the path from that moment of crisis to the birth of a whole new standard in energy efficiency. The oil embargo was the spark. It ignited a new wave of innovation, especially in North America, leading to these bold experiments in building science. And then, those ideas were refined with German engineering precision, culminating in the creation of the passive house, or passive house standard, in 1996.
Okay, but what does this actually mean in the real world? Well, a passive house is 5 times more airtight, sealing out all those drafts and energy loss. Its walls are 50% better at insulating, creating this incredibly cozy and comfortable indoor environment. And the result? A staggering 78% reduction in heating costs. We're not talking about an incremental improvement here. This is a revolutionary leap in performance.
And here's where the story gets really, really interesting. The most advanced cutting-edge buildings today are looking to the past for inspiration. Take Melbourne's CH2 building. It literally mimics the natural cooling systems of termite mounds. And the Pearl Academy in Jaipur? It's basically a modern Haveli using parametric design where computers perfect ancient geometries to reinvent the jolly screen. We're validating ancient wisdom with modern science.
And now, we arrive at the final, and maybe most transformative, chapter in our story. This is where the home evolves beyond its physical shell. It's no longer just a static, well-insulated box. It's becoming an intelligent, predictive organism that actively manages its own energy. It's becoming a living, breathing part of the larger ecosystem.
Okay, so here's the fundamental shift in thinking. Your old thermostat is purely reactive. It gets cold, so it mindlessly turns on the heat. An AI organism, on the other hand, is predictive. It's like having a personal energy concierge that's looking at the weather forecast, checking grid pricing, and knows when you'll be home. It can decide to pre-cool the house using cheap solar power in the afternoon, just to avoid expensive electricity during the evening peak.
And this intelligence doesn't just stay within the 4 walls of the home, it scales up to transform the entire energy grid. You see, the home of the future isn't just a passive consumer of energy, it's a prosumer, a producer and a consumer. It becomes an active node in the grid, using its solar panels, its batteries, even its electric car to sell power back, trade with neighbors, and help stabilize the entire network. And so our journey comes full circle. The ancient Badgier's goal was zero external energy, total reliance on the elegant physics of the natural world. The smart home's goal is zero net energy, using predictive algorithms and distributed generation to produce as much energy as it consumes. It's the same goal, just digitally reincarnated. It's this powerful reminder that sometimes the most advanced solutions aren't about inventing something new, but about rediscovering the wisdom of the past. This quote just nails it. It really captures the essence of this entire explainer. We're achieving total thermodynamic harmony not by inventing something totally new, but by combining that ancient wisdom with our most advanced technology. So, as this final image builds, you can really see the core idea. This hasn't been a straight line of progress, a relentless march away from nature. Not at all. It's been a cycle. We moved away, and now we're returning, armed with a much deeper understanding and a more powerful set of tools to achieve a more perfect, more harmonious integration. Which leaves us with one final, profound question to think about. Is the home of the future just a better machine for living, like the modernists imagined? A tool that just serves our needs? Or is it becoming something more, something alive, an active, breathing, intelligent organism that isn't just on the planet, but of the planet itself?